Fala galera, mais uma vez aqui trazendo para vocês um evento direcionado da Imprensa para conhecer Luc Besson e Dane DeHaan e acabamos de falar com eles sobre Valerian, Cidade dos Mil Planetas. Dê uma olhada aí no que eu pude trazer para vocês, dessa vez consegui fazer mais uma pergunta e espero que vocês gostem assim, da coletiva em geral, da visão geral desse diretor aí que já trouxe para coisas com a gente como Quinto Elemento, Taken, Imensidão Azul, filmes muito bonitos que agora ele traz uma coisa bem ficção científica. Então aqui mais uma vez, Tiago Lira para vocês e espero que vocês gostem.
Boa tarde, Luc. Bem-vindos ao Brasil. Eu gostaria de fazer uma pergunta para o nosso querido diretor sobre mesmo dirigir Valerian, porque é um filme tão grandioso, é um quadrinho tão conhecido na França, e eu queria saber esse motivo de dirigir Valerian só agora, de repente pelo aniversário da obra que faz 50 anos, ou você achou que era realmente esse momento que era necessário esperar até 2017 que seja um motivo seria um motivo mais técnico, porque realmente é um filme muito grandioso. Eu estava lendo que são 200 espécies desenhadas para o filme. Então, a pergunta para ele é sobre os momentos do set mesmo, porque como é um filme de ação, eu imagino que você foi jogado, pendurado, e tem sempre bons momentos e maus momentos. Então eu gostaria que você compartilhasse com a gente um bom momento do set. Tá, obrigado.
So, I think in the life of a director, there's two big criteria. One is the freshness, and the other one is the knowledge. When you start, I started at 19 years old, my freshness was at 100%, my knowledge at 0. I know nothing about movies and I know nothing about life. So, even love story at 19, you don't know so much. And the more you go, your freshness goes down a little bit because you get older and you get betrayed and wounded, but the knowledge goes up. And I think there's always a moment in your career where it's the right time to do the biggest film for your heart, when your freshness and your knowledge are kind of equal. If you take a sport people, for example, 4 years sooner, it's too soon to go to the Olympic Games. 4 years after, it's too late, you're too old. But there is one moment where you're right for the Olympic Games, and I think I'm entering this zone since a year or two. I don't know how long it is, maybe it's 3-4 years, and then I will be too much knowledge and not enough freshness. But for right now, I was able to do this film because I was at the right moment. I was fresh enough, young enough in my head, and I have enough experience. The film is 7 years of work, so you need also to wait to have the knowledge and to have the courage to do it, because it's definitely not a superhero American film at all. No tides, no superpower, no saving the world, no showing the supremacy of America. And it's different. My heroes are like us. Sometimes he's cracking bad jokes, sometimes he's a little pretentious, but he knows how to be heroic. If he has to save his girl or save his country, he will take a sword, he will go. So that's the kind of hero I like, because I can identify to that. That's what my father was and my grandfather was. They fight, they know how to be heroic, but they are not superheroes. And so that's it.
It was the most physically challenging movie I've ever done in my life, for sure. And I didn't see that as, I used that challenge, as something to kind of go towards and work towards. So I really was in the best shape of my life making this movie. We were on wires sometimes, but more than on wires, I was just running around on obstacle courses, doing crazy things. There's one shot in the big market sequence when we were using a cable cam, and they set up this really big obstacle course in this studio that was just floor, walls, ceiling, all blue, the size of a football field. And I had to do this obstacle course that was probably 45 seconds long, where I was just weaving in and out of blue cones and upstairs and doing somersaults and bursting through people and all this stuff. And I was out of breath after the first take, but it was a complicated job. We had to do it like 25 times. So that was the challenge of it, but it was also fun. The hard days were fun days, because that physical challenge was something that I really, I took that challenge and I tried to make it a part of the character, because Valerian never gets tired, So that was my goal, to never get tired.
He's young.
Luc had been developing this movie for, like 7 years before I ever was involved in it. And so he really had this huge amount of knowledge of the worlds, of the aliens, of everything. He had pictures to show me of what the aliens looked like, what the worlds looked like, but more than that, he could describe them. It was all in his imagination. So anytime we were in front of a blue screen and I was lost, I could always turn to Luc. It's a different challenge to be in front of a blue screen than to do other movies, but it almost goes back to just being a kid again. Why I got into this in the first place is playing dress up. And doing this movie, I got to go to work, put on a spacesuit and play pretend. And that was incredibly, incredibly fun. And I think that sense of play, coupled with the joy that Luc brings to the work, reminded me why I got into this in the first place.
But I want to add also is like every time you do a shot, there is the actor has a mission during the shot. He has to say something to someone. He has a feeling to transport during the shot. I'm talking to you right now. My background can be blue or can be anything else. It won't change the intensity of what I'm saying to you. So the blue screen by itself, it's not so much when he comes in a spaceship and he wants to ask her to marry her, it doesn't matter so much if there is a green screen, because his focus is really on her and how he's going to communicate that. So most of the time the blue screens are not so much it's just complicated if you have an actor in the front of the blue screen, watching the blue screen and that's complicated, because there's nothing. But most of the time in the film, it's not the case. And what I try also is, you've probably seen some making of, where the actors are talking to a tennis ball. That's complicated, and I don't know how to direct a tennis ball. So every time they have to play with an alien or a monster, there's an actor, always. Even the Megator, even the animal crawling on the floor, it's an actor crawling on the floor. The 3 dog and doggies, it's 3 guys on their knees, because then they act with an actor, and it's make it much more easier for them. And the post-production was very long. In fact, the post-production started before the film. We start 18 months before. For example, the chase in space with the spaceships, you don't need the actors, so we start like more than a year before. And it's 2,734 shots with special effect. And you have to give information about this shot an average of 15 times per shot. So you see a shot, you give some notes, and then you see it again. You give some notes, and then you see it again. So it's an average of 15 that you have to multiply by 2,734. And that's how exciting it was. So sometime the last year, the shooting was amazing, because Dane and Cara, love them so much, and we have fun every day. When they left, I stayed for 18 months by myself, and I work 2-3 hours per day, in fact. Just the VFX going to Canada, to New Zealand, at Weta and Paris and everywhere. And every day you go for 2 hours, and every day you're amazed that they can make it even better than the week before. And I was pretty amazed to discover, in fact, the level of the quality that they have between ILM and Weta. And it's the first time that they worked together on the film, by the way. And I was almost the first moviegoer. I was like watching the show. Wow, it was amazing. The casting process, you know, I met Rihanna during a casting. I didn't know she was a singer. What? I met the girl in the casting. She was good. She was the best for the part, so I took her. And then I discovered her album after. It's pretty good. It's funny because you have to take the image of the queen of the pop around the world, the #1 in charts, apart, because we are doing something different. It's another job, and she was very interested by the part. She said right away, she said, I'm a beginner, and I can't do it without you. I said, great, I'm here for that. And she let herself go. The work I have with her was exactly the same than with Dane or Cara or anybody else. And the biggest compliment I can make to her is that everything was normal. You know, we just work. That's it. And the costume of the queen of the pop is not on the set. It's outside. And every time she comes on the set, she leaves the entire big orchestra out. You know, the entourage was totally out, and the relation she had was with Dane, with me, and that's it. So it was just normal, which in a wonderful way. Same process. I know Laureline for many years, so I just have to watch a couple of different actresses. And Cara, I have a hit on her. It was like, wow, she can be Laureline. At the time, she didn't shoot so much, so I didn't know if she was able to. So I tested her for a long time. I torture her, in fact, because I need to know if she's solid inside. And what I can tell you is that she's not a model at all. Everybody's like put the stamp of model on her, but she's a model by hazard. She met the guy in the street. She said, "You want to make pictures?" She said, "Yeah, sure." But for me, she's a natural born actress. You know, as soon as I work with her, I can tell you. I mean, I've seen Natalie Portman at 11 years old. I've seen Mila Jovovich at 19. I can tell you that when I met one, I can tell you. So, and she's a very powerful actress. She has a lot inside. And I think we will see her for the next 10, 15 years.
I mean, I think that both Rihanna and Cara are two truly amazing women that are both. They have a lot of similarities because they're two of the hardest working women I've ever come across, and they both do so many different things, and they're really like prolific in a way that I don't think I personally could ever be because I'm a very singularly minded person and I can really only do one thing at a time. But to watch like Rihanna come to set and she was working all day on the movie, and when she was there everything was shut off and she was there to do a good job and to deliver and to give a good performance and all of that. But then at night she was leaving and she was going to the studio and she was finishing her last album, and so she was literally working around the clock. And you know, for Cara in a lot of ways it's the same. When she's there making the movie, she's working so hard. She's there, she's doing it, she's in the gym every day, but she's also having so much fun doing it, and then she's also able to accomplish all these other things. You know, she does model, she wrote a song that's on the soundtrack, she is like writing a book, and I just look at her and I'm just in awe of all that she's able to accomplish. You know, I think a lot of people don't realize how hard they have to work to accomplish what they accomplish, and I really am in awe of both of them.
It took me 7 years to make a film, and then so I all the comments are in. I can't comment more than what's in the film. And I think I'm not good to make a film about my neighbor fighting with his wife in his kitchen. There's a couple of directors, they know how to do that very well. I'm a dreamer, I'm a painter, and that's all I'm doing all day long. I'm dreaming and I'm painting things that I see. I love this freedom to do that, because the society every day is eating little pieces of our freedom all the time. They make our think we're free, but we are not so much. And I think that through my freedom, I try to defend the freedom of people. Because at least for some of us, when we watch the film, you can dream. You can really go in space for 2 hours and see incredible shit, for sure. Like, you know, who thought that an animal can take 1 diamond and reproduce 10,000 diamonds in 10 seconds? Or 3 Dogon daggies, you know, trying to make deals with humans. I mean, there's like a lot of, you know, these pearls living in this incredible world, expressing themselves by their skin, you know, like an octopus. You know, it's all these things that I dream of and I have in my head that I want to share, because I think sometimes our lives, not yours, mine, everyone, it's, you know, the society is shrinking the life like this, and artists are just here to put some color and some space. So that's what I'm trying to do. You have to work on the script and the theme of the film for many years first. The structure, the bones, you know, that's in reality the most important. Then when you finish that, when you're happy with it, and you know basically the fundamentals of your house, then you can start thinking what kind of color you're going to put on the wall and which furniture you're going to put, and that's where the creative people are coming in. And I bring a couple of people like around the world. One was Brazilian, I think, or living in Brazil. Another one in China, and one in the US and 2 in France. And I protect them for a year, in fact, because I was scared that they get polluted by other films, polluted by the script. So they don't even have the script, they can't even talk to each other. The only person they see was me through Skype once a week. And I really isolate them for a year because I want them to have no limit about the creativity and the imagination. And it works pretty well because they come back with like crazy shit. Like, you know, sometimes you want to call the police and say, okay, I have this guy, I must arrest him. And then at the end I have like 6,000 drawings plus 4,000 coming from the 29 albums of Valerian. So it's a lot of things. And then you can start to see what fit with what and what can help you to tell you the story. In fact, it's almost like you go to the market, you bring everything in your fridge, and then when you have everything, you look at the fridge and say, okay, now let's cook. Let's, you know, what do I need? But it's very separate, the process, in fact. It's really, it's the storytelling first for a long time, and then the clothes that you put on after. And the only little thing in common is in the big market there's a bar, and the name of the bar is Corbin's Bar. Oh, you know, like Fifth Element is in the 23rd century. This one is in the 28th. So it's like, you know, if you compare today to the 16th century. I mean, same director for sure. Maybe some sense of happiness and color and fun. But that's probably the link. But for me, it's really far different. Valerian is really about this guy and this girl. You know, their tiny story. You know, like it could happen to everyone. Like the guy wants the girl and he doesn't know how to do it. He has to learn the value of love, and and she has to teach him a little bit, but she has to also learn she lost him during the film, he lost her during the film. So that's the history of love, you know, like. And it's unusual that, you know, the hero at the beginning of the film said, "You want to marry me?" Because usually it's at the end. So it's really their journey through this amazing story. I think it depends on your education. When I was young, my mom, for many years, raised me by herself. We have a very tiny apartment, very tiny. And she has a lot of dignity. You know, she never complained, and she was pretty strong. Strong not with muscle like most of the men, but strong as a woman. Strong here, strong in her heart, and she was taking care of me without complaining, and that's the image I have from probably one of the first women. And then Laureline, at 10 years old, was pretty strong. So I was surrounded by women with a lot of dignity and strength. And then a little later, I went to see movies like James Bond. And the girl is blonde and on the back, and she's crying, "James, when are you coming back?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding? Just slam the guy." I mean, that's not the image I have at all. I love James, he's a cool guy, but that's not the image I have from women. And that's it. So I love we say that the women are the weak sex, so I love the strength of the weak sex, and I love the weakness of the strong sex. I think Achilles, without his heel, he has no interest. And you take Terminator, I would be very interested the day where he starts crying because he misses his mom. I would love that. For now, I like him. Oh, that's not least a bit. I like him. Okay, he's funny, but he will be very interested if he can cry because he misses his mom.
I mean, it's one of my favorite parts of the movie. I think that, you know, Valerian would be nothing without Laura. He relies on her and he needs her, and whether he wants to admit it or not, he probably wouldn't even be alive today if she wasn't in his life. You know, in a lot of ways, I feel like that's the only kind of hero of this kind of movie that I could play. You know, I'm not Thor. You know, I wouldn't buy me with. I couldn't just use a big hammer and like whatever. I need a strong woman by my side to help me through things. It's the way I am in life too. You know, I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have a woman by my side to help guide me and kind of be my strength. You know, and that's one of the things I love about Valerian and Laureline is they are a team. They work together, and he would be nothing without her. And in the movie, he's starting to come to terms with that. You know, he's a little more, I think, cocky and dim-witted maybe than I am, and not as he can't really access those emotions in a way that he knows how to communicate them. But that's what's interesting in the movie is he's starting to come to terms with the fact that, like, oh, I need you, I love you, and I want you to be in my life forever because I'm nothing without you. And, you know, I think that his realization of what love is and understanding the strength of Laureline is one of my favorite parts of the movie.
I mean, the pearls are perfect. They are gorgeous, beautiful, they don't fear anything, they don't want to possess anything. They totally 100% in accordance with the nature. They are just perfect. So they are, in fact, the image of what we should be. After 25 centuries of civilization, we should normally reach the point where we're perfect. You know, because 25 centuries, it's a lot. And we're not. We try, but we're not. And so this is who they are. They are the representation of what we should be. And what's interesting is the only thing we try to do is to kill them. and for economical reason, political reason, stupid reasons. This is the story of the Indians of North America, South America, Africa, these great, great people who were living totally in accordance with the nature, that civilization for so-called good reason, because they want to have the same religion, or they want to, in the name of progress, we erase that. We and our two heroes, and that's really the sense of the film, even if it's funny and colorful and full of monsters and fights, two heroes are our conscience. And the conscience say, yes, what we have done is wrong, and then we have to repair the best we can. It's basically the story of humanity, and can we face it, without being assholes, and try the best to learn at least from them. And I'm sure the Brazilians understand what I'm saying.
Oh, me too. I mean, he did a really good job. Yeah, here's these people that they kind of have it all figured out, and they have a different way of life, but a very beautiful way of life, and a pretty uncontroversial way of life. But they happen to possess the ability to create something that is valuable within Alpha and within the society. And so they're demonized almost because they own these pearls. They can create these pearls. And that's why the people at the top are going after them, because they want the pearls. The pearls are the power. The pearls are the fuel. They're what keeps Alpha going. And they want that. And I think that to me, it's interesting to look at the pearls and say, oh, it's so easy for the commander, the people at the top, to take these people and make them look villainous. But they're actually incredibly peaceful people, and you just leave them be and give them their pearls and not go after their wealth and after their energy and after their power, then everyone would still be able to live in peace and environment.
I think it's interesting also to see an alien give us a lesson about humanity, because we're the preacher, we're humans. But the lesson they give at the end is they don't even want to venge. Anyone around the world will venge for the situation they have at the beginning. They don't want to venge, just want to have their land back, that's all. They understand it was a mistake, and it's fine. They don't want to venge, and that's such a lesson. And if we can hear it with humility, then we will be better human beings.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.